have different styles of internet networking. So we have already seen that in the network layer, it can provide two different types of services, right? Connection-oriented service is there and connection-less service is there. So even though the underlying subnet or underlying network is connection-less, it can provide some connection-oriented service using the virtual circuit approach. So the same thing can be used in the case of inter-network also. Okay. So we have already seen how such a virtual circuit is established in a single network that can be extended to provide such a service in a inter-network. So we can say that two different styles of inter-networking are there. One is connection-oriented service through concatenation of virtual circuit subnets. Okay. Within a single subnet, we have a virtual circuit that can be extended or that can be concatenated within different networks to establish a virtual circuit from the source machine to the destination machine. And the second type of service is connectionless, which let us move on to the first type of service, that is concatenated virtual circuit service. As you remember, the earlier networks were actually connection oriented, right? SNA, ATM, everything was connection oriented. But with the rapid growth of internet, datagram style became fashionable, right? And you may think that that is enough for any type of communication. The importance of multimedia networking, again, this connection-oriented service is in demand because it is easier to guarantee quality of service with a connection-oriented approach. So definitely we have to think about how to establish such a connection in a internet or internet network. So you can see in the figure, we have the source machine here and the destination machine here, and in between we have a number of networks together. So how to establish a virtual circuit from this sending machine to the remote machine, destination machine. You remember the virtual circuit creation in case of a single network, right? Yeah, the same concept can be extended to the entire internet network. So what the sender machine will do, before sending a data packet, it will send a request to the network to issue or to establish a connection, virtual circuit connection to the destination host. And using the algorithm, routing algorithm and all, the network will establish a connection, a virtual circuit from this sending machine to the destination machine, and all the routers along the path will store this information. Usually this virtual circuit will be identified by a virtual circuit number. An identifier will be given. That identifier together with the outgoing link to be followed for that particular virtual circuit, that information will be stored in every router along the path. So whenever a packet receives with this identifier, that will be routed along the corresponding outgoing link. So this is the procedure for virtual circuit establishment, and the same thing will be extended for the entire internet network. So you can see here another complication is that actually the sender machine is in this network which follows this X.25 protocol, whereas the destination machine is in another remote network which is in ATM network, right? And in between we have another OSI network. So lot of networks and different network layer protocols are there, right? So this packet have to move along a way in which different packet format have to be followed in different stages. So definitely in between we have to use some multi-protocol router or gateway, right? Normal router is not enough because network layer protocol itself is different for this component sub networks. Okay, so that is why we are using this multi-protocol router or gateway between two different networks. The sender machine issues a request to establish a connection to this destination machine, right? And when this request is seen by this network, what it understands that, yeah, that destination belongs to some other remote network. So a virtual circuit to the nearest router to that destination network will be established. So according to some algorithm and all, this may be the nearest router to this remote network from this particular network. So this network will establish a virtual circuit from the sender machine to this nearest router. Okay. And again from this router, when this router sees the corresponding request, it finds that, yeah, that particular request or destination host belongs to some other remote network. So I have to establish a connection to the nearest router to that particular destination. Here it is this router. So this router will establish a connection with this one. Okay. And the same thing happens from here to this destination host. So different virtual circuits are actually concatenated to form the entire virtual circuit. So this is how the internet networking works in case of connection oriented services. And also each and every gateway or router will update its routing table to reflect the new virtual circuit identifier. Once the connection establishment is over, that is, there is a virtual circuit from the sending machine to the destination machine, then the actual data packets start flowing, right? And once the packets start flowing along the path, each router or each gateway relays the incoming packets then converts the packet format. Just for example, here the packet should be changed from X.25 format to OSI format. That will be done, and all the packets from the source to this destination will follow the same virtual circuit. So a sequence of virtual circuits is set up from the source through one or more gateways to the destination. Each gateway maintains a table telling which virtual circuit passed through it, where they are to be routed, and what the new virtual circuit number is. Such information will be recorded. Now let us move on to the second method of internet networking, that is connectionless internet networking. You remember the datagram approach in case of a single network, right? Yeah, there won't be any pre-established connection. Packets will be routed through any of the route available to the destination, right? In that case, what the network layer of sending machine will do is it will inject the packets into the subnet and hope for the burst. Now it's the duty of the transport layer in the sender machine and destination machine to make this data delivery reliable and all. Right? The same concept is extended for this internet network also. We can see here that different packets from the same source to the same destination actually follows different routes, right? So whatever paths are available, so routes will be usually updated using some current traffic and all. Routing algorithm will be run, and based on that, different routes will be chosen to send the different packets. So a routing decision should be taken anew for every packet. Right? Since this strategy uses multiple routes, this achieve a higher bandwidth, right? Whatever paths are available, it can be routed along that path. So definitely higher bandwidth than this concatenated virtual circuit model. But the problem is that there is no guarantee that the packets arrive at the destination in the order. So these are the summary. Routing decision is made separately for each packet, possibly depending on the traffic at the moment the packet is sent, and the strategy can use multiple routes and thus achieve a higher bandwidth than the concatenated virtual circuit model, but there is no guarantee that the packets arrive at the destination in order. What are the issues in this? Mainly, if each network has its own network layer protocol, different addressing methods are used. So if each network has its own network layer protocol, it's not possible for a packet from one network to transit another one, right? So a multi-protocol router can help here to convert the packet format, but the problem here is that such a conversion is possible only if these two formats are closely related. Otherwise, if they carry entirely different information, such a conversion is not possible. Such a wrong conversion may lead to failure also. So usually such a conversion is not usually attempted. And the second issue is that different network may use different addressing schemes, right? There won't be any relation between these two different addressing schemes. So there should be some lookup tables or directory system which map one-to-one correspondingly for this IP address, what should be the SNA address, like that. A table should be there in every router. That's also not a practical. So a key design ideas to overcome this problem is to design a universal internet packet. That is a packet format which is acceptable by or which is common for every network. Such a packet format is used, then these problems can be solved. Coming to the positives and negatives of this concatenated virtual circuit approach, advantages are that buffers can be reserved in advance because for particular source destination pair, the virtual circuit is already pre-established, right? So corresponding to that particular virtual circuit, every router buffer space can be reserved so that the transmission can be made fast without waiting much in every router. Sequencing can be guaranteed because every packet is following the same route, right? So they will be in a sequence. And short headers can be used. So there is no need of the entire destination address in every packet, right? Only the virtual circuit number is needed. So the length of the packet or size of the packet can be reduced. Trouble caused by delayed duplicate packets can be avoided. Usually this delayed duplicates comes in following some other long route, right? So since every packet follows the same route here, there is no such delayed duplicates coming. One of the major drawback here is that for every virtual circuit, there should be an entry in a router. So that much space will be required for every table in the router, and no alternate routing to avoid congested area. No flexibility in selecting a path. Once the virtual circuit is established, everything should be followed the same route, right? So there is no flexibility, it's no dynamic, right? And vulnerability to router failures along the path. If one of the router in that path fails, that communication will be failed. And difficult to implement if one of the network involved is an unreliable datagram network. So if we are selecting a route and in between a network is there which is not guaranteeing any type of connection, that will create difficulty. So these are the pros and cons of concatenation of virtual circuits. And coming to the connectionless internet networking, main advantages are more potential for adapting to congestion, right? There is flexibility to choose a different paths for different packets, so adaptable to current traffic and all, and robustness is in the face of a router failure. So if one of the router failure, the packets can be changed the route to reach the destination and can be used over subnets that do not use virtual circuits inside. Some networks may be inherently a connectionless nature, just for example mobile networks or satellite networks and all. In that case we have to go for connectionless service always. And the main disadvantages is that longer header is needed. The entire IP address of the destination should be put in the packet for every packet, right? Because every packet follows different route. So the length of the packet will be more, less reliable, right? There is no guarantee that different packets will reach the destination in the correct order, or all the packets will be received. Some packets may be dropped due to congestion and all. There is no guarantee. So that is another issue with the connectionless service. The rest we will see in the next session. Thank you.